Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Neptune transiting the sixth house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Neptune will traverse a house for approximately 14 years. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then Neptune will be in there for a little bit of a longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average, then Neptune will be in there for a little bit of a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, first thing I look at with Neptune transiting the sixth house, well, the sixth house is connected with our health, and it could indicate that you might have a little greater propensity to have a confusing or confounding illness or something that just not very clear. It could also indicate that you might be a little bit more prone to having some kind of an adverse allergic reaction, perhaps to something. You might be more vulnerable to just chemicals. It could be pesticides in the air. It could even be radon. It could be a number of things. And the thing is, this having this transit too, we look at this, and the sixth house is also about our work and the employees, and it could be a time where maybe employees might be a little bit more deceptive, a little bit more duplicitous than usual. This is a time to just be very more careful in your dealings with fellow employees if you're in a situation where you do have fellow employees. This could also be a time too, when you look at this, that considering that Neptune is connected with chemicals and it's connected with drugs and alcohol, that it's important, and the sixth house is health, that there might be a little greater potential propensity, I think, for maybe having some health issues connected with alcohol, perhaps, or even with drugs. So it's very important to as far as this transit goes, especially more so than the average transit. It's also, I mean, it's important to abstain from alcohol the best you can anyway, I believe, and not be a habitual drinker or what have you. But when this transit comes, it's even more so, I think, in a transit like this, because of the nature of the house and what Neptune does represent. So the sixth house being health and what Neptune represents as far as alcohol and drugs go. Also, it could indicate that the maybe your health issues might be somewhat enigmatic. They might be somewhat puzzling at this time. It could indicate that maybe a fellow employee, someone you work with, you might find out might be a chronic drinker, or you might find out something like that about him or her. It could also indicate that during this transit, you might take some kind of work that may be connected with Neptune, such as the metaphysical, like astrology, or something maybe with spirituality, something associated with water, like oceanography, being a lifeguard, uh, perhaps somebody like a water quality control officer could be another example, or even something with chemicals like chemistry, or working in pharmacy, like pharmaceutical work. It may be something Neptune related during this time. And also, the sixth house is connected with our daily routine. So it could be a time where you may encounter a little bit more chaos in your daily routine, and it may be harder to keep a more consistent uh, daily routine, or something that's really, uh, if you're trying to do something that's very regimented day to day, it might be a little more difficult to do this than usual, or sticking with some kind of disciplined routine during the day, and something that's very consistent can be a little bit more difficult than usual, because your daily routine might be a little bit more sporadic and erratic than it usually is during this transit. Now, really, And it could also be, I mean, the sixth house be connected with health could be about fitness as well. So maybe fitness, if you're into fitness, it could be something where you might have more of a need to do something with fitness that's water related, which could be, for example, swimming. It could be some kind of playing, doing something in just anything that's connected with the water that might be tied into fitness. There was a baseball player one time that was actually swinging a bat underwater, and I don't really know if that really is going to. That was done to be more proficient at hitting a baseball. But I mean, something like that, as bizarre as it is, I guess that might work the muscles or something, and that is connected with water. That's not, may not be the best example, but I think it still applies. So anyway, really looking at this transit too, it's also important to really look at that. This is about, Neptune is about what we seeing is not always what it is, or taking things. Neptune is about illusion, and just remember that we could delude ourselves as far as health matters go during this time, as far as employees go, over idealizing employees, and really maybe looking at our health like a little bit like it's more like maybe it's better than it actually is. But it also could indicate perhaps a distorted view, maybe, or distorted, I could say maybe illnesses and things that are magnified in someone's mind, something that's imagined a little bit more. I had somebody, a woman prominent in my life many years ago, and Neptune was transiting her natal sixth house, and it seemed like she was complaining incessantly, like month to month, that she'd have either a terrible cold, and something like a terrible cold or something similar. And I really wonder if that was really just allergies that she had in her mind, or maybe it simulated like cold-like symptoms. But I think that's all it was. So it's really, it's one of those things where your mind might play little tricks on you in matters connected with health and perhaps with employees as well, and in things that are just work related in general. Well, it's also important to look at the aspects, if any, that are made from this transit to your natal planets in points in your chart, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that transiting Neptune is making a conjunction to your natal sun. Well, you might feel a little bit more sluggish, lackadaisical, lethargic, and even a little bit more confused about what you want at this time. Now, being in the sixth, this could be something connected with your work and employment situation. Now, let's take another example. Let's say transiting Neptune is making a sextile or trine to your natal moon. Well, this could be auspicious for incorporating imagination with your emotional needs. And given that Neptune is transiting the sixth, this could be tied in perhaps to something work related during this time. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Neptune transiting the sixth house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Neptune transiting the seventh house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel, but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.